ప్రభుజీ సౌండ్ రావట్లేదు ప్రభుజీ.
Finish.
Please read the second last one. It says up to the age of 3, the primary thing that we really want children to gain is a sense of security in their attachments. The more the child can be at home with their parents, the better. Who says this? David Coleman is a famous psychologist. We discussed Lalaya Panchavakshani, that was from the scriptures from Chanakya. But this is David Coleman, who's a psychologist. And what does he say? The first 3 years, better the child be at home with parents. The more the child is attached to the parents, the better. The longer the child gets to stay with the parents, the better. I feel extremely disturbed to see when 6-month-old babies are left in the creche. It's a very sad state, actually. The more we rely on all these babysitters and creches, be assured that we'll also have to look for our old age homes. It's an equation. The more the creches are coming up, the more old age homes will also come, for sure. Yeah. And I may sound extremely orthodox or conservative here, but you see what the psychology says. Very recently, I met a young mother. A very young mother. Her child was just 1 year, 3 months. 1 year, 3 months old. And they live in America. They live in States. And she was saying that she has been leaving her kid since 8 months into the creche. And she says, somehow I don't know what to do. I get extremely anxious. But what do? I have to work also. And I said, she said, I am working from home, but even then, I just can't pay attention. What do I do? And then I said, how was it with your mother? And she said, actually speaking, I have absolutely no complaints about my parents. I come with no baggage. I have no mental health issues. But now, what I'm doing to my child, I feel so anxious. Because my mother or my parents never did it to me. So, don't do it. We have to make a conscious choice. It's not about being orthodox or religious. It's just about doing the right thing in terms of the mental growth of the child, the mental health of the child. Manusmriti says mother is 10 times more important than father. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying this. They are important. So it's important that mothers, because what do we hear now? Don't we hear a lot of this? That they should take equal responsibility, and I'm all for that. Yes, parents should take a whole lot of, fathers should take a whole lot of responsibility. But that doesn't mean that mothers can substitute their care with the father. They cannot. And that doesn't mean that fathers can shun away the responsibility. They have more responsibility. They have more responsibility to ensure that they provide an environment like that, where the mothers can take care of the babies when they are young, at least till the age of 3, better till the age of 5. Fully. Yes? Nothing can substitute mother. This is a very convenient thing that we have got these days. Yeah? And I'll come to that. But what do grandparents most often do? What kind of grandparents? But if grandparents, first thing is energy, their energy levels, yes, their energy, their health. 2, what is their inclination? They want to now relax. TV laga liya, dekh liya. Yes, that's what they want to do. Children are buzzing around. वो भी बैठ जाता है, देखने के लिए, साथ में टीवी देखती, हो गया बेबी सिटिंग. Is that what it is? Is that what will help? It will not help. Grandparents will not have the same energy levels, the same intentions as the parents would have. And that's very clear. We're just trying to deny it. Okay, so what happens? Outcome of a neglectful parent? Yes.
Is there any right age where a mother can go for a job, or is it a full-time job for them till the
No, after 5 years of age, it is okay. This is what I have read, heard. Right? After 5 years, it's still till 5 years, it needs attention. After 5 years, what is 5 years is given to the child goes away. It's not about the mother or father going away. The child goes away. Now in our case, then it's still okay. But because we don't have a curricular setup, we still have a lot of responsibility. When the child used to go away to the Gurukula, there were people who were exclusively now training the child on the Tadaya part, the discipline. But do we have that now? We don't. When we send them to school, we are even more worried. Yes. Oh God only what they learn in the school. So the responsibility doesn't change, but at least we get more time. Right. So maybe we can mothers can consider doing something if they want to around that age. So here we are, like we already discussed, the child does not learn to love, neglects others. There is severe emotional deprivation. Yes, traumatic experience because there has been suffered neglect. And one important consequence is never this child will listen to any kind of advice. This is very sad because the child has always been neglected. So any advice will go into their ears. And invariably, the child develops low self-esteem. So here I conclude with saying that what about devotion or Krishna consciousness? Even simple, normal, good health also will not be there in the child. Normal child you cannot expect if you are a neglected parent. So we saw liberal parenting, and many of us are going to feel guilty here. Usually busy and then sort of guilt. Let the child watch TV, games, etc. for long hours. Yeah. What happens here? We already saw this one. Parents compete for love to material facilities. And rarely does the child learn to discern right from wrong. Liberal parenting means what? You don't tell the child, do this, do this. So how will the child know that I should be doing this or I should not be doing this? Everything's okay. My mother doesn't say anything, my father doesn't say anything. Correct? Here also the child ends up developing low self-esteem because the child doesn't know from inside whether it's right or wrong. So how will the child develop a sense of confidence? That no, I'm quite clear. The child will just go with the peer pressure very easily. Right? This is the strict parenting. So what does authoritarian parent do? Do what I say. Whatever I say, you have to do it. The child will do it till this height. Then when the child goes this height, you think they're going to do? Then you feel that, अरे अब तक तो ठीक ही था, अरे माताजी 2 साल तक तो ठीक ही था, अभी पता नहीं क्या हो गया, यानी कौन से फ्रेंड्स आ गए, कुछ नहीं हुआ है, वो बड़ा हो गया है. Yes, friends, वही सब थे, वही सब बड़े हैं साथ में, they're all grown up together. Only thing that's changed is now the child has grown up. Alright? Fathers are often guilty of this, where they scare the child. Sometimes it could be the mothers also, right? Strict enforcement of rules, and this will invariably make the child rebellious. Yes, the child will rebel as soon as it's teenage. Right? Exactly. Now I'll tell you a little anecdote, which is again a true anecdote from Leela Gupta, who is a doctor in Govardhan, the Ayurvedic doctor in Govardhan. So he shares a very interesting experience from his life. He says he was brought up in an extremely conservative family. His father was very strict and would never, had lots of rules and regulations. Now, when Leela Gupta got admission into Ayurvedic college in Jaipur, he had to leave the house and go. As soon as he went to Jaipur, he says the first plan I made was to go to watch a movie because I never got to watch a movie. I said, I will go. And I was so thrilled. I went to the theater, I sat inside in complete excitement. And the movie began. Now it was just maybe a few 5 minutes, the movie had begun. When on the screen I saw my father's picture of strict disapproval. He said, I saw my father's face there. I could not sit for even more than 10 minutes. I just got up and I ran out. I said, I will not do this. How? Yeah, but this was there. But a very nice thing that Dr. Gupta shared was, had it been only discipline, he would not have cared. You understand? But it was love that held him. And that's the only thing that will. Discipline alone, you can expect your child to completely be there. I tell that from my own experience in my family. My parents are also extremely conservative. And in my own family, my siblings turned away completely. Has absolutely no faith. This is nonsense. And that is bound to happen when you just have a whole lot of. But what did Srila Prabhupada give us? He didn't say, do what I say. He said, do what I do and I will tell you why. You understand? There's a difference. When you say, do what I say, it's like gunpoint. At a gunpoint, just do it. How many questions will you ask? These days, this generation, yeah, they start off on a big lecture on that. But no, it will not work. But when you explain to the child why you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, and then always remember that why you're supposed to be doing what I'm doing, the first equation is what? Getting closer to Krishna. That remains. You're doing this for Krishna. We're all doing this so that we can develop a relationship with God and Krishna. If that basis is there, we can explain things to our children, right? This is only leads to rebellion, but assertive parenting, which is the last kind of parenting, which has discipline and love. Yes, here the parent is assertive. Assertive means what? Doesn't say, "Chal aaj nahi." You say you tell your child. So most often this happens that while chanting, chant. Say, tell our children, please chant. And what we are doing, so many other things. Left hand we are cooking, sometimes scrolling, so many things we do. If we do that, the child, what does the child understand? Rule. Rule is there, but he can do it. And even more, baaki samne nahi karo bas. That's all we have to learn. Right? So they learn to what? Not chant but cheat. They learn only to die. That's not going to help. But an assertive parent, what does an assertive parent do? He explains, is consistent in the rules. Explains, take time out. Why should we do? Yes. Does not follow the rules as per rules, but as per the rules. Today mood hai to karega, kal nahi. That's not going to work. Shows by example. Child develops the ability to think and discern the right from wrong. And this is so important. As children grow up, they ask questions. You should be able to withstand that. Means what? You should be able to accept it that they will disagree. If you have instilled so much fear in them, that koi sawal nahi karo. That's not going to happen. They will ask questions, you should not be offended. Let them ask questions. It's not that they are going against you by asking questions. They're only trying to get things clarified, right? Here the child develops a high sense of sense. If this is the case, the child knows. So when child goes outside and his friends ask him, "Kya kar raha hai? Why are you doing this?" Not very dogmatically, "Karna hota hai, paap lagega." This doesn't work long. This doesn't work long at all. पाप और ये सब बच्चों के मन में से वो हट जाता है. It's us who are still worried a little. Yes, we also forget otherwise when we are in that kind of company. What to speak of children? They will not take these things seriously. What they will take seriously is understanding that what consequences it will lead to. Yeah, we have a consequence. This is what will happen if I wake up late. This is what will happen if I get into these kind of habits. It's a very clear, explained, understood kind of a concept, but that is assertive, right? So here we are developing confident human beings who can take up to Krishna consciousness or a devotional life voluntarily, very happily, joyfully. Yes, Krishna said, Krishna consciousness is a very joyful process. But we make it so difficult, so complex. The child says, "Mummy, ab kuch nahi karna." Yeah, then it is not a joyful process anymore. All right. So now, after these types of parenting, you might feel that you're a little guilty, scared. No, all of us are all kinds. At different times, we are different types of parents. Sometimes we are neglectful, sometimes we are liberal, sometimes we are authoritarian, sometimes we are assertive. What we should aspire for is to become assertive. That's our aspiration. Just as we understand that the modes of nature are always working, isn't it? Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. They're working upon us. All the time they're competing with each other, just like that. Here also, sometimes our strict parent comes out. Then we feel yeah, we feel that. Why did I do this? We feel so sorry about it. But it's okay. Don't beat yourself. We're trying our best. And that should be our real effort to go to and be an assertive parent. Any questions? We'll take quick questions now. And then we'll come back to something. Anything you want to ask, share. Yeah, that's true. My own children are there. They're very different. I think that's also a big important lesson for us, right? You know, robots. They come with their own baggage. Isn't it? They come with their own nature. So we have to accordingly mold ourselves. They will not change that way. But yes, they will be different. And yes, it is difficult, but that is what is the responsibility. It is a very difficult responsibility. And that's why Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj said that if I could have a Krishna conscious child, I would have many. Right? There is a medicine home, he became a brahmachari. And we are giving parenting seminars. It's a tough thing, definitely. It's not easy. But to acknowledge it that it is tough, to make it an effort, that's what I think. Please, Prabhupada. Right. Give me the solution to this. Okay. There's a very interesting thing that Einstein said. He says that the most foolish mistake that men can do is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. You get the point? We do the same thing again and again and again, and we expect a different result. Which means what? It means that if something is not working, you have to change. If you feel the child is repeating the same mistake, it means that the way we are trying to correct this, we have to change. Right? There is something else that we have to try. And some things, like for example, some parents, they ask, my child steals or my child lies. Right? Please find out the underlying reason, right? Instead of just going and saying that don't steal, and don't, or calling him sometimes, why are you acting like a thief? We put that name, or we might say you're a liar, things like this. But try and find out what are the deeper reasons why the child is doing that. And it's very normal in a certain age for children to do that. But we'll keep rectifying the child in different ways. Right? So it's normal for the child to repeat the same mistakes. And to think about it, don't we repeat? Yeah. How many times have you left the geyser on? Many times. Even though we know it's wrong, even though everybody has told us. Okay. But for us, we are so compassionate. Is it? But for the child, it's like, kitne baar vasan? It's okay. Yeah, we want to pass certain values to children, right? And there are different ways to pass these values. And I will talk about that also. That how do we pass values of truthfulness? What works, what doesn't? How much patience should we have? How long, right? Sometimes, like I said, in a certain age, it happens. And the line is mostly to get the parents' approval more than anything else. Right? So when the child tells the truth, the way you respond to the truth, the child understands that my mother is not happy. So the child lies, forgetting that when the child is, when the mother comes to know that she is lying or he is lying, they'll be unhappy again. But that the child forgets. Instantly, what the child thinks, my mother is going to be happy if I tell this. My father is going to be happy. My friend is going to be happy. That's the only thing that's going on. So how are you responding to a child speaking the truth versus the child lying? Right? When the child tells the truth to you, how have you responded? Please check for yourself. Have you been very harsh? Have you immediately punished? Right? So these are some of the reasons why the child might be lying. Yes.
So they are also trying to teach that what it is. So that if you compare it, that would be if maybe only four maybe like children are very but so it
It's very normal, like this screaming. It's very normal. To understand that there is no entertainment for the child, right? There's no engagement for the child. One, two, the child is not paying attention. The whole and soul goal, like I said, especially in 5 years, the child is the center. Like you can see that now. The way the child is hugging the mother and wants attention. Look at that. It's a complete example that 5 years till 5 years, the child has to be center. Now, the only person who can do this is the mother. Muhi Raja, Muhi Rani, only the parents can. You know, in Kannada, there is a saying, Hettore Hedna Muhi. I don't know how much you understand. For the ones who give birth, even if it looks like one hedgehog, the mouse, the rat, the big rat, it's very dear and very sweet, right? For the parent, right? So the parent can give some attention. So obviously, the child needs the parents' attention. But to give you for a slightly older age group is to engage them. Is to engage them in parallel activities, right? Therefore, we have in ISKCON when the Saturday Bhagavatam class is going on, we have activities going on for them. Unless you engage them, they are going to be like this.
Wire normal.
Absolutely normal. Absolutely. And it's actually not fair, to shoot them. Not nice. Then what will happen? If you teach them now, they will not come to temple later. I'll tell you a very interesting, again, a true story. This is, this one of the sannyasis who was sharing this. He said that there was this incident. There was this devotee lady. She was sharing this when she was a child. She said in Moscow, this is in Russia. She says, I hated going to the temple, to this God temple. I didn't like anything. She says, I didn't like people even singing, I didn't like. But worst of all, I didn't like the class. So boring. And whenever I used to go there, people used to say, to me. So I never used to go to there. I never liked. But one thing that I liked used to go was for 1 month. She would come to me whenever I came. She would come to me and she would say, hey, you're wearing such a nice frock today. Or she would say, show me that painting you did last time. Did you do anything this week? Show me. And I would plan what do I share with her every. That was the only reason why I did it. Now she's an initiative. So you see how much power you as readers have to make or break a child. You can shush them and send them away. Yes, or you can say, come, invite them, tolerate them, invite them, take their eccentricity, let them scream a little, let them cry a little, let them fight a little. It's okay. But you're still saying, this is how Krishna also fought, this is how Krishna played. And have you ever heard Krishna Gita sitting in a class? Yes. We always hear of Krishna and his friends. Time playing. Yes. But we expect our children to be extraordinarily well behaved. That's very unrealistic. But at the same time, engage them. Engage them in a way you're welcoming them, you're inviting them. And it's true that a lot of our children we have lost, from coming to ISKCON, from coming to temple, because of this attitude that we have among parents, among leaders, right? Any other question? Yes.
Teenagers with the video games.
Wow, hot topic. Yeah. It's been very difficult. I understand, I completely agree. And to speak of teenagers, it's also among the very small children. Everybody is struggling with this, especially after COVID. Especially after COVID, you can see all children are with gadgets, right? And it's not been easy for me either. What I have realized is they should have a goal. They should have a very busy, engaged life now after COVID. So unless you put them into different classes, keep them engaged, this habit will not go. Earlier, I was of the opinion before COVID, I was not really very encouraging, parents to take the child from one class to the other. Yes, a lot of parents do that. The child doesn't have time to even sit for some time, aram se, sitting looking out. Because now they don't look out, they look here. Yeah, there's no looking out. So it's better you keep them engaged in different classes. You keep them engaged in their studies, hobbies, all of this. Very, very important. Unless we do that, this is going to ruin their sleep pattern, their diet, everything goes for a toss. Yes, that is why I said that we really need to work on keeping them inspired to a goal, something. So even be it simple things, like I have heard sometimes parents discourage them from playing too much outside. Let them play. It's far better than playing here. Let them play outside. Let them go to their hobby classes. Let them draw, sing as much as they want. Let them do all that. Keep them away from gadgets as much as. That's one thing all of us have to make, kind of a collaborated effort. All parents have to make this. I will tell you, this is a severe pandemic. It's not the COVID. COVID came, went, but this is here to stay. This is the pandemic that we are really struggling with. Gadgets, the mobile, the laptop, yes. Keep them busy. Even before the child is born. Yes, right in the womb. Very, very important. Right? So, we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam again that the baby grows in the womb. There are different stages, and after 6 months, the child can completely hear and understand what's going on. Before that, the child can be affected by your surroundings, what you hear, what you see, things are affected. And as the child grows in the womb, the positive things that you are giving the child, it's all going to the child. And this, I'm not talking only from Srimad Bhagavatam. A recent study I read, because I keep reading on these things. This is a well-researched subject, where it says that even when the mother laughs, it helps the child secrete dopamine. Dopamine is a happy hormone, and that's being generated in the body of the baby when the mother is laughing. Which means what? Your emotions, your feelings, your consciousness is affecting the baby. So even before the baby is born, it's so important that you keep yourself in best of your consciousness. And what could be better than reading about Krishna? Yes, do you read about yes? Yes, they need to. They need to, which means what they will. That's not something which you need so much effort. Let me tell you this. When my children were small, I was homeschooling them. I didn't send them to school for a while, and then they went to Gurukula in Vrindavan. And everybody used to ask me that, aren't you isolating your children? Aren't you keeping them away? Or how will they learn such skills? They have to. And I asked them, do you find my children in any which way isolated? Most talkative and people coming home. They would love to serve, all that. They were by no standards, but if their nature is to be a little introverts, extroverts, that will not change in which way, right? So materialistic goals, they will definitely come. You don't have to make much effort on that. But what will not come so naturally is their spiritual culture. The spiritual practices, sir, photo mein to bhi nahi hoga. Yes, you might do cartwheels, but they will not come to the temples. They will not. They will just refuse to do that. But that won't happen here. Thoda dhakke khayenge, when they know that all their friends are having, and it's good to inspire them then. Don't ever say that scientists they want to do it then. Whatever they have those that first equation, keep it there, coming closer to Krishna. But every other goal should follow as per their nature. Even for girls, yeah.
So of course, I said that we are so I so there is a new class going on for events. So we actually host that classes and so far he's interested. But now that he's in the first has only homework to do. So he comes home at around 5:30 or so. And then he does the homework that's not easy. But now because of this Wednesday class, he comes home back after the session at 10 o'clock or so. And then he has to do the homework. The next day he doesn't submit the homework, he be punished. So he doesn't like that. Because of that, now he says, I don't want to do the class. So there is monthly one session which Radhishan is speaking. He's interested to go to that class, take the pay to go to that class. But the regular classes he wanted to speak. So he said, go sometimes
Yes, because we don't understand the situation. We put a lot of pressure on them. Yes. Maybe to know bhi karo. Right. You know, earlier it used to be only pressure ki chalo class mein pass ho jao ya first aa jao. Now we have spiritual pressures also. Right. And that is it's okay. I think we should be more understanding their situation and say that give choices. It's very important to give them choices. So is it okay to let go? Okay. It's a phase. No, it's really okay. Yeah, because when people actually put that another situation, right? So I actually faced that because I was forcing upon him to go to the Wednesday classes. So he was a bit rebellious. So I thought maybe I'm not doing the right thing after the conversation. No, you will see yourself. You try telling the child. Yeah, I think it's difficult for you. Itna bolne de, itna wo badal sakta. I think it's difficult for you. It's okay. Child is understood. You know, otherwise they feel helpless. कोई समझता ही नहीं तुम लोगों को क्या समझेगा. That's how they will start. And then you will not be able to put, you know, any point across to the child. It's okay. Thank you. We can continue. So these questions will come as of how, yeah, we're getting late. Should we go ahead?
We'll take a question at the end. Please guide us the question. Then do some more attempt. Basic answer.
Yeah, so we have done at least types of parenting. We need to understand that these are the types of parenting and see ourselves where we are. Now, what we're going to do is one of the Matajis asked how to transfer the values, whatever those values. So here we know some things are their own baggage, their own karma. No matter what, how much you do, they will have their own inclinations to do some things. Right? I'll tell you one interesting, again, a true thing. There's this man who was sharing that my father was a musician and he tried his best to teach me music. Right? He did every possible way to teach me music, but I never liked it. You know, somehow I didn't have any inclination for music. I used to love to draw. Now, my son, I'm trying to teach him to draw, but he likes music. You just can't help it. Right? But what we often do is we want them to do what we like. And that's hard. They come with their own features. That's one thing, one aspect. The other is association. And this is very, very important. And here I would say that if they have friends of their own age, it helps a lot. So what you're saying, you know, of the child not wanting to go on Wednesdays or whichever, it is like this that if they have similar, you know, interests, like-minded friends, even if they don't go to class, it's okay. Whenever they meet, you know, you have something for them. Once in a while, once in a month, or whatever. Take them on retreats with you all. But the goal is to have a good congregation. Yeah, you have a good association. All parents know you have this goal in mind that my children should be in good company. Very often we hear of this, but parents will say, "Itna zyada bhakti, bas, itna nahi." थोड़ा, once कभी थोड़ा श्लोक बोलने बोलते, सुबह में उठ के हाथ जोड़ते बोलते. Yeah. So we know we feel like too much of bhakti is very dangerous. That's what it is. Yeah, it's only going to make your child better in every angle. But for that, you need to have a group. You need to have a good group where you can support each other, where your children become friends. And finally, samskaras. What are samskaras? Samskaras are strong impression in the minds of children. We obviously speak, often speak, right? Samskar dene hain, samskar dene hain. We are especially say this child has good samskar. What are these samskar? They are the right impression, strong impressions. Those impressions could be positive or they could be negative. So when a child sees continuous fight at home, between parents. What is that? A strong negative samskar. You are impressing upon the child that samskar. And the same thing could be a very strong positive one. If you understand, in our Vedic tradition, we have Annaprashan samskar, yes, Namakaran samskar, then you have maybe some of you Upanayan samskar, yes, then you have even Vivaha samskar. You have all these, they are called samskaras. And how do we understand it now? Set of rituals. It's not that. What are these rituals? These rituals are actually creating strong impressions in your mind to understand your own identity. Please understand this. Like, for example, when the child is having, say, Upanayan samskar, what is that samskar for? Saying that now you're going to be closer to your teacher. Now, I have Upanayana means that you're going closer to your teacher. Now, my responsibility is from, on this side is reduced. Now you have to listen to your teacher. That's Upanayana. Vivaha samskar. Now you have these responsibilities. You're no longer a free bachelor. Yeah, now you have a different responsibility. Therefore, all the rituals there are reminding that person of the person's identity. It changes. So this is a very key influencer in the child's life. What samskaras are you giving? When the child sees continuous disagreements, fights at home among the parents, then what samskara the child is getting? What do you think? What negative impression the child is getting fixed very strongly in the brain? What do you think? And all of us fight, yes. As parents, as adults, we fight. But when we fight in front of the children, it's a very, very dangerous samskara that you're imposing upon the child. Where the child is exposed to the fact or is kind of looking at it in this way that there is no love. This love, it can mean that you can say that there is love, but they can fight so much or hurt each other so much. That is okay. So what if I love? I can still hit. I can still cause so much pain. That's such a negative samskara that we are imposing upon the child. And these formative years, 0 to 6, it's very, very important that we give good samskaras to the child. Because whatever the child absorbs there, in that period, it stays for the rest of their lives. Like I gave the example of this man who wanted to end his life. Because those samskaras were strong in the mind, get lost. Okay, these are too many slides I have to go ahead. I'm going to talk about this, about how do you transfer. There are 3 things that I will speak here. One is positive triggers, other is becoming relevant, and the third one is 3 S's. Positive triggers, the one example that I already gave was that Mataji who appreciated the girl when she came to the temple. So the child had something positive to associate with temple. If the child doesn't have any trigger, positive trigger, for example, many children are triggered with music, or something they like, and therefore they come. That's a positive trigger. They don't come for anything else. They come for appreciation. Everybody saying, and they like to come because they want to play. Not that they have, very strong inclination to come to them. They have only this positive trigger. So what positive triggers are we giving them? And we often, in Gurukula, used to tell this, our school used to tell, no giving punishment as writing the Hare Krishna. Sometimes teacher did that, Achha, galti kiya, ab baitho 100 baar likho Hare Krishna. And the child is writing Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, 100 times. and swearing that never again I can look at this mantra. What is it? It's such a negative trigger that you're setting. Right? So no such punishments. Second is to become relevant. What is relevant? Sometimes we become completely disconnected with the child's reality, like what Mataji mentioned. We want the child to go to a certain class. Not at all being a part of their lives and understanding what's going on. Right? Sometimes they come from school and tell that, what happened? This happened and that. People like chatting here. What am I saying? I'm saying something to you. Yes, or immediately you ask the completely off-track question, which is only for you. You're not at all being relevant to the child. Correct? So that's losing out the child. The child says, bagal wala, the slightly bigger boy, his senior, plays great football. वो जो भी करता है, जो भी बोलता है, मैं वो करता हूँ. So he is completely relevant to me. You don't listen to me when I speak about cricket. What is the point of speaking to you? Yes, we completely cut off. I learned so much of cricket from my son. I didn't know anything much, And I used to ask the child, says, Amma, you can even recognize who is Rahul. I said, okay, let me now understand who these cricketers are. I didn't know many of them, right? So we have to become relevant to them. And becoming relevant to them would mean probably with boys you have to play, with girls you have to talk. Yes, this is important. Sometimes the boys like to talk. My elder one likes to talk. And they talk so many things. I can't tell you one thing. You know what? The deal, he made even a deal. He likes to beatbox. Do you know what is beatboxing? Has anybody heard what is beatbox? It's making different instruments sound with your own mouth. It's very amazing actually. They do a lot of things through their mouth. All instruments, musical instruments come through their mouth. And my oldest son, he does it very well. And he said, and I was telling him, Prahlad, for a long time we were trying to convince him to take up some course. And there was some very interesting spiritual course. And he was saying, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then he said, okay, I learned beatboxing, you learn this. Oh, Krishna. What we were trying to do is simply becoming relevant to each other. He knows that this is important to Amma. But I know that there is something else important at that age. Let's not cut it off. Yeah? Sometimes we become extremely fanatic and cut that off. You have to be a little relevant as what I feel. Otherwise, there is so much artificialness in our relationship. Right? Now we come to the final thing, that is 3 S's. What are these 3 S's? Yeah. These things are permanently helpful. Always. Stories, shlokas, songs. Stories, the most powerful way of transferring values at all ages. It doesn't restrict to small children. It goes on. Stories are so important. Of course, it's most powerful when children are that age. I remember when my child was very small, children, both of them. One was 3 and 4, and the other was 2. Whenever I had to feed them, my older one used to bring this big Bhagavatam books on hand. A little boy, he'll bring that small Vyasapita table that's there, and he will put it on it, and then sit there, open the page with all pictures, and then now you read. So I have to tell the stories, and then the child will eat. And that's so powerful. I read all my books only during the lunch hours when I used to read. So many things I used to read only to tell them stories. But stories are so powerful. Let me tell you a story. Are you in the mood to hear one story? Everybody is like tired of parenting now. So I tell this story very often to small children, little children, and also, older people like this very much. This is a story from our own very sweet Krishna pastime. You all know Krishna loved eating butter, yes? Eating butter. So this is Krishna very small. This much. And one fine day, early morning, he got up and rushed to a gopi's house. And he was still, knock, knock, knock. And the gopi opens the door. This is Kanha. So early in the morning. And Kanha is still rubbing his eyes. And says, Maya sent me. I said, Maya sent you? Yashoda sent you so early? What? Said, Maya says, a lot of Sant Babas are going to come home. So she said, if I could borrow one pot of butter from your house. So she said, oh, Mother Yashoda is going to feed butter from my house. Really? What good fortune today. Wait, I'll give you the best butter I have. You can carry it. It's a big pot. It's a no big thing. And she brings the pot of butter. She says, wait, I also have mishri. Tell Mother Yashoda, she should feed all the Sant Babas with this makhan and mishri. Mishri, is sweet, sugar, crystal sugar. And he says, okay. So she brings in one small dona sugar and keeps it on that pot and helps him hold it. Kanha, will you be able to take it? He said, And he goes. And she closes the door. Kanha walks out. And he says, who he calls? All the friends come out from all sizes. All of them come. What is the pot? What root I got in the pot? Let's go there. Sit here. Right in front of our house. Here. You all sit. They all sit and Nana is happily giving everybody is digging their hands into it with Mishri also. And then the gopi inside, she hears some noise outside. What's going on early in the morning outside? I can hear something. So she goes, opens the door. What does she see? Not just these little boys and monkeys are also. Everybody is happily enjoying butter and fish. And she says, you lied. Kanha looked at her. Baba. There was one little boy who didn't even wear any clothes. And he was not even conscious that Yashoda Mai has come into the pot. Because he didn't get a chance before everybody was digging. He said, now my chance. Everybody is looking at the gopi. Now my chance to take whatever butter. And this gopi looked at that boy and said, Sant Baba. And Kanha said, yes, you should do dandavats to all of them. Yes, I will bring a danda. So she went inside to bring danda and all of them. So do you all like the story? Sweet Krishna's story and how it brings us to life. Right? And this is what our says this nice story. To help them relish, come close to Krishna, they should wait to hear about Krishna. Yes? So that's the first effort which we should make an effort to learn. Learn these stories, remember them, wait to tell those, share these stories. And then all for all age groups. For teenagers, it has to be told differently. It has to be, teenagers, they think they're very smart. Yes? And you tell them all this, they will say, time pass is doing. Yes? So you have to tell them in a way which is appealing. Right? Appealing, give them facts. They like all that. Well-researched facts. They like that. What about, so these are the stories and their benefits are listed here, how they are windows to the spiritual world, how it sparks their imagination. There are a lot more things that I would have shared, but we really don't have time. And then, of course, we have shlokas, which is very important. Times of India list these benefits: improve memory and concentration, reduce stress levels, relax the mind and body. This is Times of India. This is not me telling you. So one has to make it a point to teach children shlokas. There is a way in which we let them learn or memorize these shlokas. It's not a futile activity. It's a very, very useful activity. And then this, what's better? I have seen very often when children are dressed like this, parents are happy. They don't mind. Now, it's creating a very strong impression in their minds. What kind of impression have you created? When the same clothes she wears when she is older, you will not like it. Yeah, you will not like it, you will object, but she will wonder why. You only made me wear. Why not now? Yeah. You don't like it when she makes those facial expressions. I had a video actually, which I deleted now, of a small girl dancing to Bollywood song with all those stupid, vulgar expressions on her face. And the comments are so cute about it. This is child abuse. You're destroying her innocence. And the same child, when she grows up, who will be responsible for those expressions on the face? Please take care of this. I'm going to skip this important milestones at different age. We've already done this. Is it? Okay, so should we? Okay, so these are some important milestones, 7 to 12. Definitely stories, shlokas, and music, our kirtan, very important. Even before that, small children, what rhymes do we teach? Somebody was telling me, nobody in their life forgets Baba Bless. Yes, no matter you are whatever engineer or Baba Bless. Learn when you were small. So in Gurukula, we used to have nice small rhymes. Children used to call me Spirit Soul Mataji because I used to teach them one poem which is called Spirit Soul. So it went like this. This rhyme says, I know I'm not this body, I am pure spirit soul. This body is just a lump of flesh that's and to go. I'm spirit soul, eternally in bliss, knowledge and ever increasing happiness. Chanting Hare Krishna, my life will be sublime. I just have to remember this all of the time. I'm spirit soul. I used to teach this to the children, and they loved it. They used to quite like it. Many such lines. And my children don't know about that. My children don't know Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. They came to know, maybe when they were in 8th standard, when they heard it from so many other people or so many other memes that were coming up. They came to know there was something like this. They knew a lot of Krishna conscious lines, like these, right? Which stayed in their heads. So this is remain the same even for this age group 7 to 12. Role models and examples are very, very important. What kind of role models are needed at this age? Therefore, I tell you that bring them to the temples, that show them through your own example. So also invite people home, invite devotees home, who are so loving, so kind, that those kind of role models they should have become relevant. Yes, in this age group, extremely important. This is when they are experimenting with their outside world, 7 to 12. And remembering that discipline is not the same as punishment. Yes, punishing something is like, more or less the focus is on the negative behavior. But discipline is when you're bringing in the positive. You're saying that this is our routine, this is the time that we will get up. If you don't do this, there has to be a natural consequence. Like for example, some of the parents they don't get up in time for the school. School bus miss हो जाता है. So punish तो करना ही पड़ता है. I said school miss हो जाने दो. Or sometimes they say that पढ़ाई नहीं करेगी तो फेल होता है. मैंने कहा फेल हो जाने दो. Fail हो जाने दो. Have you tried? Let them fail. Let them see the consequence of that. How difficult it is to face. Let them take it. हमेशा उनके स्तर पे आप बैठे रहोगे. आप ही का होमवर्क हो रहा है. It's always your exam that's going on. See, in Gurukula, we used to give them assignments, projects, holiday homework. And who used to do that? I never did it. And my children used to come and tell, only you don't help. Everybody's parent has done it. And it doesn't matter. It's parents' homework. It's not my homework. It's your homework. You do as much as you can. Right? And therefore, I think, this is important even as teachers to understand. Don't expect work from children. Work that has faults. It is theirs. You expect work like the adults. Yeah? But want the children to do it. How is it going to happen? It will not happen. Be realistic. It's okay even if they get a B grade. But tell them you have to do it. That value is more important. Give them more responsibilities. And here 7 to 12 routine is very, very crucial. I would say waking up in the morning is the most important habit. At least in this, later it will become erratic anyway. Once they become in 12th standard, when they start studying, or 10th standard, they start studying, they see their friends and they wake up late in the night, all that will start. But this age, please ensure that they sleep on time and wake up early. Very, very important we develop this particular habit because all wrong things happen in the night. Right? So it's best they sleep early, wake up decent time, no sleep deprivation, but they should definitely sleep well, but then ensure that they sleep early. That's a difficult thing to do because we don't sleep early. Right? We have to sleep early for that. This age group, of course, it depends on what time you sleep, but if you sleep at 9 o'clock, then you can expect the child to wake up as early as 5 or 6. But if it may differ from child to child. Sometimes children need more sleep. They will be little natural. Try and see that if the child is waking up late, then make the child sleep early. That's still okay. For a very long time, we used to go to Mangalarti every day. But as they grew up, they required they slept a little later, naturally. So they were sleeping in the morning and we could go only for Darshanarati. That's okay. But ensure that they have good sleep and inspire them to wake up early as early as. That's all we can. Yeah, I think this I'm going to skip. Yeah, that's it. I think we'll conclude here because it's beyond 8:30. Just 8:32 now. So if you have any questions, yes. We'll stop here. We can ask if you have any questions, you can ask. Yes. He has a question. Prabhuji had a question.
Taking care of the education, think more time, other things. But when the kids compare other kids whose parents are liberal, and they think that is more attractive for them, and they keep comparing parents who are other kids, and they say little parents are not good. In that case, as a parent, we know they are very good, but how do we explain to kids and make them do what we are telling them to fight?
Thank you. It's a very good question. And therefore, association is very important. I did make this point of association, right? That as far as possible, we associate with parents or kids like-minded. But if that's not happening, and that doesn't happen many times, the only way that I have found out is to continue to be assertive. Continue to explain to them that I have had long, lengthy discussions with my children as to why that is wrong. Why a certain parent, whatever they did, how it has affected. And sometimes, with prayers, Krishna really shows that in front of it. Krishna shows how, an example right in front of you, how the liberal parenting has messed up the child's life. It happened in my case also, where we had we had friends there close by who were very liberal, and so liberal that they came across as cool parents. Very cool, allow the child to do whatever this, that. But I tell you, this is a fact, in 9th grade, their child, was diagnosed with acute depression. And the child is now 23 years old, but is still not able to complete undergraduate. Couldn't finish BA because goes for like a month to college, then the next 3 months cannot go because of depression. Just shut in his own room. And why has this happened? Simply because of liberal parenting, nothing else. A liberal parent was not able to tell the child what is right and what is wrong. Tell a child that these are your rules, we are going to do it. We have to follow this. The parents say, you know what you want to figure out, and the child is totally clueless. And this the psychologists have assessed. It's because the child hasn't found a base for himself. And my children, they saw it. They saw that it took time. It took time, definitely. 9th standard say up tak. But they saw it. So you continue to be assertive. Continue to explain with patience that no, I don't think it's good for the child. I'm trying to do what is best in your interest. There is no other magic that will work. Anything else?
Harishan, please use the mic so others can understand.
What is the best age? Gurukul or Vedam? Fine, according to Vedic literature, fine, but it's now because the children are already growing up in nuclear families, very hard. And there is no Gurukula as such, which is giving you those kind of values. It's a boarding school.
Actually, my son bought the car, but I didn't.
What age?
On that exam and everything. So everything was done, but I was attached to him.
See, I would say that if at home you have a good environment, right? Then it is okay to postpone it till what you feel, 8, 9. Mother understands the best. But if you feel that the home environment is not good, send him as early as possible. No problem. It's very good. This. Yes. So now, but sometimes you will become late. might become, you might just postpone it so much that the child is so attached to gadgets, comfort life, very difficult it may become. We can send now.
What we should, we can start doing,
Can start doing. Please, so we had a very wonderful session with one of the Prabhupada's disciple, Udila Mataji, on this. We had many times Java workshops for children, Java workshops for teachers, how to teach Java. She always emphasized on one point. She said, don't emphasize on rounds. Say time. So much time you chant. Because when you emphasize on rounds, children learn to take it. Because they like that number. So they think this is 16 rounds, 64 rounds. It goes to whatever number. Instead, keep a timing. That number is really not important for children yet. It's important only as much as it helps them give a sense of motivation, accomplishment. Right? So 4 rounds is 6 rounds. Gradually, when they grow older, say, from the 10 to 12 years, you can start giving a number. But till then, better not.
so how much time?
Time depends on the child, depends on the routine. But it can start anywhere from 10 minutes. Yeah, start anywhere from 10 minutes to whatever the child can. But you can, you can increase it systematically, gradually. But the time is important, not the rounds. Only after 12 rounds. Any other questions?
Start first question. If one of the parent is assertive and one of the parent is strict, how would be that?
Sometimes it helps. If the father is strict normally and the mother is patient strict, meanwhile, it helps. Right? But if the father is strict, to the extent of being little hurtful or humiliating, then very difficult. Right? So these things will never ever create any positive impression in the child's mind. But the child father is strict, so much so that the child is just afraid of the eyes. Then the mother can take time to explain why. It's okay. But better, because we are living in nuclear families, better to be both to be assertive. Both, even father can take some time out, right, to explain why. If we had a bigger family like we used to have before, some people can explain on that.
The other question is on one of the slides you were mentioning about negative impression. So how we can understand my child has negative impression or not, and how to overcome that?
Yeah. Most often, we can understand, the impact of negative impressions when children grow up, and that's the big risk. Children, when they are small, they're not able to express or retain for long periods of time. When their fight is going on or there is some scene that is going on, they're disturbed for that time, then they forget. But these negative impressions that are set in their minds, they will be and they fully manifest when they are grown up. And that's why most depression cases, anxiety cases, they start manifesting later in life. And what do these adults do? They replay those things that are in the mind externally. They begin to manifest those impressions by being like that to their children. You get the point? Those, they feel this is how I must treat my wife. Because my father treated my mother like that. Yes, which is so wrong. And I often say this, that the best way for fathers to win the love of the children is simple. How? Just love the mother. That's enough. Just show kindness and whatever to the mother. The children learn everything. The children love their fathers. The children also learn to love. So these negative impressions that we are talking about, both negative and positive impressions, manifest later in their lives. And if we feel that there have been some negative impressions, trauma among children, and they're still not grown up, begin to talk about it. Begin to accept your mistakes. No, that's a big way of healing. Children heal when you apologize. Children heal when you say, I think that was difficult for you. I'm sorry. I think I was really tamastic at that point. How often do we confess? I think, I sometimes feel that I need, but I don't apply. Child feels that my father or mother, they're real. They're not pretending. They're trying. They understand. They need.
Solution. And the question, sometimes what happens is we have different, we have the success in different stages. Okay, I'm telling about my side. So every place they see opulent things and all, opulent flats, many things and all. So after 12 years, I had to purchase a television. After 14 years, I had to purchase a television this summer actually. Because everywhere even this one is so opulent. The flats are TVs and all. So after 14 years, I purchased television this summer. So I don't know. Sometimes we are not in a position to explain actually. You could understand that, but somehow we have to do this. So see, purchasing television. They are asking for some biscuit packet, right? So basically they don't know the situation solution. But I keep on saying that we didn't ask our parents like this. We are in much better situation now. So this is what we can do. This is not important for you to focus on this what you have to do. What is the better way to convince them?
How old is
7.
little younger, till maybe 6, 7. Now I don't know till what age you get 2 kids. I- Yeah.
After the Yatra, 2 months old. 2 months old was the Yatra. It is to affect it closely. Impact on desires are very because of
Yeah. The desires will come. Let's just accept it. They are there. They are there. We also have. Desires are there among children. Now, like I said, tricking children is very important. Srila Prabhupada said. Trick them. So when they were very small, once my son started doing something like this in the mall or somewhere. He said, "I want that." And he came and I want this. I want that. I said, "Okay." Chung, get it. He did come and he looked at me. Yeah, that was small, but it was a joke he put. What I was trying to explain also he understood. What I was trying to do is I said, I'm trying to do the magic, but it's not working. Yeah. So we have to think. Look here. This is something which is not a magic. It's not going to work with everybody. But the way you put it across is very important. The way you put it across is that don't get hassled. The more we get hassled with it, if you know, we start it. Now what? Yes. Now where am I going to do this? And then you give one long lecture. Yes, we give one long lecture and you say, with this tension that satisfaction is most important. We go. That's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work. Or he even sees you speak to your wife. What all he's asking you here, and you heard it. Yes? So he feels what? That father doesn't want to. And it's just that father is, and they will have, okay. It's okay, nothing happens. Even if my children say this, when they want to buy something, don't tell Amma she's stingy. She's stingy. So I have a reputation that I don't very easily spend. So they go to their fathers. And if the father tells them, okay, then we tell you, so you can't buy it. The matter is over then. They will have desires. It doesn't mean that they have to be satisfied. But it also doesn't mean that we deny those things. In the sense that let's not really fight. You become so sweet. He says these things that he has so many desires in his mind all the time. And we usually bring in somebody. I think it's okay not to beautify it so much. And say that, sometimes I join with them and I said, such a beautiful bungalow. No, I wish I my child looks at me and says that it's okay. Before they say what's really important. Help them understand our situation. Burden. Sometimes might get stressed, especially with all the friends, our own friends also, like you said, in the also. Get stressed. When we do get stressed,
Hare Krishna, please be patient for a few minutes.
There is some time, Prashant. Are you some one parent can take the data outside? This one. Sorry.
yeah, no, I was just saying that when we feel very stressed like this, we should understand it's our problem, not their problem. Yeah, when we get extremely distressed or stressed about the fact that we have something that that our child is asking, the child's problem is not his problem, it's our problem. We should understand that it's okay. Because we know from philosophy that being satisfied somehow or the other is very easy. Yeah. But that the child is.
He used to tell me that I want to go to Gurukul. Can you send me to Gurukul? No, not this. You cannot. But still, I can go to. Go to the school.
How old is he now? 7. He doesn't want to study. Would you understand that? You feel it is too much? Remember, I did banana. It is material education, academic education. It's not that it's not given. So, that down Gurukul especially has both academic education plus they also teach you Bhagavad Gita, all that is there. We have a wonderful program in Gurukul which we began now almost I think 5-6 years ago. We began this program where we teach children English. Still running the film. There is nothing that they don't learn. They do learn everything, both academic and school. And for you, I think it's important. And I know it's hard. I left my child today to go to the hostel when he is 18 years old, and I cried. So others can never ever be ready for that. But if you think of the consequences, if you think that you get into a wrong association or you get into wrong habits, then that motivation is good enough. But if you feel that okay, no harm. He's getting good association here, staying at home, doing everything. If he insists that he is doing great, let him go and come back. Why? Papa's are
Then they have to come back and take admission, re-admission in the same.
it's hard, yeah.
So,
But
sometimes
that's
you
not.
cannot go with what really.
So I would suggest that if you have a good environment, good congregation, then it is okay. Keep them here. Because finally, we don't have a boarding school that is the same as Gurukula of those days. Don't be under that false impression. Because we have children coming from all backgrounds, not only devotee backgrounds, in all schools, everywhere, all over the world, whichever Gurukula you take, we have children coming from Guru. That it's full Gurukula is like एक box से इधर डाला, इधर से pure devotee हो गए. ऐसा तो है नहीं, right? So it doesn't work that way. Be realistic and feel that if it's a good environment here. Why not? Little watching, little reading. Watching this. You can't completely keep them away. But what age, of course, is the time you can let them watch little. No harm.
Matahaji, thank you so much.
Small age. I think when they have a group of friends, all of them wearing, they wear it. Otherwise, Roti is not as comfortable as shorts. One fear that children have is koi na koi roti niकाल देता है. In Gurukula, of course, children have that in uniform. They all wear. But here in Bangalore, I have seen devoted children wear it only on physical day. We should encourage them by. So this is something we start very early. Very early in the sense when they're very small, you start wearing those clothes. Or like a dress code. You can have like a uniform. Mandir ja raha hai to ye pehn. At least you can start with that. Right? But see, I don't go so much with the externals as long as it is decent. अगर जीन्स भी पहन रहे हैं लेकिन अच्छे से पहने हैं that clothes are taken and then they wear some kind of clothes which are very fancy, even if it externally it is a it can be very very large. Huh?
The t-shirt gets torn also. She wears the t-shirt. I'm just wearing.
Yeah, stupid facts have come. We need to understand that. I think educating children on the modes of nature is important. And how to be educated? Talking about teachers, what are they? You can give them nine stories of. I heard about somebody telling the story of how pearls are in the ocean. Pearls, they're so powerful. Pearls, something so precious is there in the ocean. So then the story goes like this. Where a teacher was trying to discuss about these facts to the grown up. Then this was a girl who's going. And the teacher said that why this girl should be in an oyster like this. Can you give me one situation? How nice it would be. First, this nice everything. So everybody gave different reasons why that's not a good idea. Because there's no pearls would be lost, or it's such a precious thing, it should be covered. That was the bottom line. And that was the answer to the teacher said that if something is so precious, how precious my daughter would be. And I would like my daughter always to say, see, I'm not saying this will work. They or not. But we will have to be more innovative and find different ways where we want to inculcate a certain guna, sattvic guna that we are talking. Have to find ways. And again, I would say association is very. When you give the children the same kind of association, they that is not it.